Richard Saxton with Market Talk from Beverly Hills. My guest is Christie Hefner, the chairman and CEO of Playboy, and it's a pleasure to talk with you. And I guess the most asked question is, a woman running an empire that I guess men long to watch and get involved in, but you've been there for a while. You've been chairman and CEO for quite a while. Prior to that, president. You're used to it, right?
Well, I am, and what's particularly fun is all the growth that we've been experiencing since the early 90s, really, after I became CEO. And now, increasingly, we're doing business all over the world and doing business in products that are appealing to men and women. In fact, most of our television viewing is by couples. So the company has expanded both in terms of the women's market and in terms of the global market.
As far as management team, I notice you're bringing some women around you. You've got a CFO who's a woman, now you're president of publishing. Is this part of your strategy?
Well, our strategy has always been to get the best people, and I think one of the advantages actually that American companies have over some other countries that haven't advanced women as much is that American companies do tend to look at the best talent, whatever the background is, and we've been pleased with our recent recruitments. Linda Havard, our CFO, actually comes from LA, where she was Senior VP of Finance at Arco. So we moved her to Chicago, and she's going to help us do joint ventures and licensing deals overseas.
How much involvement does your father have in the company now?
Well, he's still very involved creatively. He works very closely on the editorial product and somewhat with the producers on the creative side as well, but not really too involved with the business strategies or operational side of things, which has not really ever been his interest.
Now, what about as far as interest in terms of stake in the company? The family owns still a good portion of the publicly traded issues?
Yes, we recapitalized the company in the early 90s to create a non-voting class of stock so that we could start to create stockholder value without diluting the family ownership, and we're very successful in 93 with the secondary. We've brought in a lot of institutional ownership. So we've diluted the family down to 50% of the B stock, which is the widely traded stock. And we've announced that over time we'll dilute the family further and look to broaden the institutional ownership further.
When you put a value on the empire, and that's what it is, you're more than just publishing now, what are you worth?
Well, what the market cap is around $300 million, but I think that as earnings grow for the company and as we expand, we expect that to be reflected in the market cap as well.
All right, the magazine, still heavily a subscriber-based magazine as opposed to newsstand. What's the mix there?
We moved to subscriber orientation really a number of years ago as the newsstand business was declining and as we felt we could take advantage of the acceptability of Playboy in the home. So today we operate on an 80-20 subscription to newsstand split, which is pretty standard in the industry and allows us to know who our customers are and to sell other products to them, and also to offer the advertiser a more upscale demographic.
Yeah, I remember talking to Richard Kinsler, the publisher of the magazine, about this. Paper and postage, I think at the time I was talking to him, going through the roof. I don't know if that's subsided a bit, but it's an expensive thing to publish.
Yes, unfortunately, both in our catalog and in our print publishing business, we're always vulnerable to what the paper suppliers do. Happily, over the second half of this fiscal year, prices have been coming back down, and that's favored us.
Looking at the stock, what are the expectations and forecasts? I know revenues are growing up substantially in the third quarter, and what are you looking for as the fiscal year comes to an end?
Well, we've doubled our operating income for the first 9 months over last year, which in turn was more than doubling over the year before, and that's really come from the leverage we're seeing on incremental revenues in entertainment. We pursued a strategy of creating our own programming, which has allowed us to deliver on the consumer's expectation of Playboy TV, and once we cover those fixed costs, it's a fairly good margin on incremental revenues, and we think those trends are going to continue through the fourth quarter.
Anything you're trying to fix right now? I know expansion is an aggressive part of your strategy, but anything that you're trying to streamline or get lean and mean, so to speak?
Well, we got pretty lean and mean in the 80s when the company restructured itself and before we began our aggressive growth in the 90s. So we're really trying to focus on capitalizing on those growth opportunities. We were an early player on the web, the first national magazine to go up on the web 2.5 years ago, and one of the very few entertainment sites that's profitable. So now we're looking to expand our Playboy Online business as one of our major initiatives.
Terrific. Christie Hefner, who's the chairman and CEO of Playboy, PLA, the ticker symbol, my guest on Market Talk. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk. We're in Beverly Hills, and we're talking to the chairman and CEO of Playboy, Christie Hefner. She became the chairman and CEO back in 1988. She was president from 1982 to 1988, so you've been in a top executive capacity for a long time. Do you like it?
Well, I like it a lot right now. The 80s were a tough decade for us because we were cutting costs and selling off businesses and closing businesses to really get back to the basics. And then beginning in the early 90s, we really pursued the strategies for growth, which have involved more direct marketing, our catalog business, subscriptions for the magazine, more electronic with TV and video, and now the internet, and more international. So the last years have been a lot of fun.
How do you describe your success with the company? Is it like having grown up in it because it was your father's business? Because obviously the academic background is not there, but you're doing a great job.
Well, I had the luxury of learning a lot about the company for many years before I became president. So I did a lot of sort of management by walking around and took some additional courses during that time. But I've also been very fortunate in being able to build a really good management team, and the businesses that have done well have benefited from that leadership.
All right, let's talk about some of them. Cyber Club, that is going to be some kind of a new website with what?
Well, we're very excited about it because it's our first pay site. Up to this point, we've been offering a lot of entertainment, both from the new issues of the magazine and from our archives, to customers who can come to the site for free, and we pay for the site by selling advertising. We're getting 7 million hits a day, and that translates to a lot of traffic that advertisers want to tap into, and they pay us for that. Now what we're going to be doing is launching a site that people have to pay to come to, either on a pay-per-view or a subscription basis. And it's going to have incredible depth of original archival material, all the Playboy advisors searchable by subject, all the Playboy interviews, every Playmate photograph ever published, material we've never published before, and material we've never broadcast before as video streaming becomes more popular. And then probably as exciting as any of that, interactivity. So you can go online and talk to Hef, you can go online and talk to the Playmate, you can go online and talk in a chat room about a subject in the magazine or a fantasy or a political topic. And we think that the idea of coming together around communities of interest under the Playboy umbrella is something that's going to be very appealing. So we're going to be up and testing it in the next couple months, and we'll know a lot more at the end of the year about what people are interested in paying for on the web.
All right, so somebody will go there and you'll have to show a credit card password and pay $6.95, is it? Or?
It's going to be $6.95 a month with a discount for annual subscriptions and a discount if you're a magazine subscriber. And then there'll be pay-per-view events that you'll just be able to participate in by paying a smaller fee. And the wonderful thing about the web is you learn right away what's working and what's not, and you can make adjustments, whether that's in price or in content. So we're pretty enthusiastic about it. We've been doing our Playboy catalog online and been very pleased with the number of people who are shopping from it. So we're also going to be adding our video and music catalogs online. We think the experience that Amazon.com has had with selling books by bringing people together around chat rooms is something that we can do with video and music, and since we're already in those businesses and have the inventory, there are very little incremental costs. So we have a lot of things that we think are going to combine to make Playboy Online a pretty exciting place on the web.
Will it hurt the magazine business, do you think?
No, I think quite the contrary. I think it's a great promotional vehicle. It lets people know what's in each issue. It reaches particularly younger consumers who may not yet be as avid readers and are actually spending more time in front of their computers, and we get them hooked on Playboy and then we keep them.
On the magazine, the editorial, you want to keep it so the people that have been there for years stay and, I guess, slowly progress somehow? Well,
the wonderful thing about the magazine is it's remained the most popular magazine for men for 40 years. So obviously the way they do that is a mix of material that works for new younger readers and material that works for people who've been with the magazine for a while. And that's the key, is that unique blend of interview, fiction, beautiful photography, great art, humor, lifestyle, and month after month the editors continue to deliver.
All right, Christie Hefner is the chairman and CEO of Playboy, my guest on Market Talk from Beverly Hills. I'm Richard Saxton with Market Talk with Christie Hefner, the chairman and CEO of Playboy, and we're here in Beverly Hills at your office. Here you have offices obviously in Chicago
and New York.
And New York. So what is accomplished in the three different offices?
Well, Chicago is corporate headquarters and the editorial staff, and just outside of Chicago is our catalog division, which is a $75 million business that we built over the last 5 years. LA is really our entertainment headquarters. It's where we do both production and distribution for television and video around the world. And New York is publishing headquarters and product licensing headquarters.
Well, let's talk about television. Playboy Television, I remember, has been around for a long time. In fact, I think on some cable systems, they used to be with the old FNN where I used to work, and at 5 o'clock, Playboy came on. It's obviously going to many countries now. How big is it?
Well, it's grown enormously, principally because of the growth in direct-to-home and the growth overseas. The cable growth has been slower because there just hasn't been the investment in growing addressability in digital yet that obviously is going to come. We're in front of 16 million homes, half of them, about 5 million of them are direct-to-home, but that's about half of our revenues because the digital technology is just that much better, that the buy rates are better. And we're now selling our programming into 135 countries, which proves really the same hypothesis that we have had about the magazine, and that is that Playboy Entertainment is really highly exportable, that not just the brand name is recognized all over the world, but that special position that Playboy has as being sexy but mainstream acceptable translates really all over the world. And now increasingly we've been doing networks internationally in partnership with large companies like B-Sky B and the TCI-controlled Flextech in the UK, where we launched a Playboy network last year. We launched in Japan. We just did deals to launch in South Korea with Daewoo. We're in Latin America with the Cisneros Group. So we think that every major television market in the world is going to wind up with a Playboy television network, and that we will both program those and own equity in them.
So will they be a custom designed, so to speak, for that market, like the magazines, I guess, in different countries have a different flavor?
They will have a blend of local and international material. I think it will be different in that the magazines are principally local, and I think the television networks will principally be international, universal programming created in the States, but there will certainly be segments that will have local hosts and hostesses and local content, and the joint venture budgets allow for that, and then we in turn distribute that programming into other countries as well.
Let's talk about the casino business. You're going to have a casino, at least a 15% stake in a casino on the island of Rhodes in Greece, and you're looking to do 5 or 10 more, and you're looking for some equity partners, aren't you?
Well, we're very excited. We think Playboy, as the preeminent adult entertainment brand, has a big opportunity to play in the casino business. We find that people immediately have certain expectations about a Playboy casino hotel, that it's going to be adult, not family, that it's going to have great food and beverage and entertainment, great-looking people in it, really good service, and that if we deliver that product, we think, as you said, that there are 5 to 10 locations in the world where we can do upscale Playboy hotel casinos or casino resorts. And the first one we're going to be opening will be opening in this fiscal year. On the island of Rhodes. We won an international tender for the exclusive license. I was just in Greece 2 weeks ago, and I was up to see the Hyatt Casino in northern Greece, because they're going to have 10 licenses, and they are doing just gangbusters with an entirely local market. So we're very excited because we have both the local Greek market from Athens and Rhodes, and then Rhodes is the major tourist destination of the islands. So we're very excited about this re-entry into the casino business, and we'll be looking for other locations as well. It's the fastest growing part of the entertainment business generally, as more and more governments either legalize or privatize gaming, and we think Playboy has a strong opportunity to play in that business.
All right, and your husband of 2 years, a consultant in the casino business, is he involved?
Well, he brought us the Greek deal. He's done a lot of different development deals. He did Spago with Wolfgang Puck in Chicago, and he's doing a Rainforest Cafe in Chicago. But he came to me actually 4 years ago and said that they're going to privatize casinos in Greece, and he knew some good partners, and was I interested, and the upshot is we've got the deal.
Let me ask you about licensing revenues. They're down. The FCC, I think, was trying to get involved in, obviously, with this rating system they've got going. With the licensing and the FCC, are those two hurdles or hassles right now?
Well, we are disappointed that the telecom bill has provisions in it that seem very inconsistent with the idea of encouraging competition and letting consumers choose, and specifically one provision that will keep us from going on the air until 10 o'clock at night in systems that are not digital, which is about 80% of the cable systems. But fortunately, the direct-to-home business is unaffected and the international business is unaffected, so we think that it will not keep us from growing. It'll just slow us down a little bit in the near term.
All right. What's your personal goal?
My personal goal, it's a billion-dollar brand, so we want to turn it into a billion-dollar company.
Terrific. Great to see you, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. Christie Hefner is the chairman and CEO of Playboy, my guest on Market Talk.